What's going on there, YouTube, and welcome back to another comic book video. Okay, so we are going to continue our coverage over X-Men Inferno, except this time it's going to be our last video for this event. But we have already covered all the other X books that had came out around this time in Marvel Comics. Uncanny X-Men, X-Factor, and New Mutants. But there was another X book that was out around this time this event came out, and that was Excalibur. Now, here's the thing about Excalibur's tie-in to X-Men Inferno. They only had two chapters, Excalibur number 6 and Excalibur number 7. And the two chapters really took place in the early parts of the actual event. Matter of fact, they took place before the ending of New Mutants chapters in X-Men Inferno. But this X team did not cross over with the other X team like the X-Men or X-Factor and New Mutants. They were really on their own, but they were pulled here into this event by Rachel Summers, who was trying to save her younger brother. You see, when it comes to Rachel Summers, the daughter of Cyclops and Jean Grey from an alternate timeline, when she had arrived back into the main Marvel universe, Cyclops and also Madeline Pryor just had their son Christopher, who is her younger brother. And so when it came to Rachel, she went out of her way to build a mind connection between her and her younger brother Christopher. And so anytime he's in danger, he can call out for help, for her to help him out. And so when it came to X-Men Inferno, he was kidnapped multiple times by different people. But apparently he had called out for help. He wanted his big sister. And when it came to Rachel, around this point in time in Marvel Comics, she was the Phoenix. And so as soon as she felt that her brother was in danger, she ran off to go save her brother. But when she left, she caused a lot of damage to the lighthouse, the current base for Excalibur. And the rest of the team is freaking out wondering what in the world is going on with Rachel. Now, something else I should mention is that when it comes to Captain Britain and Megan, they're kind of falling apart when it comes to their relationship, to the point where you now have Nightcrawler trying to move in on that relationship. And that is going to be somewhat important for today's video. Now, before we are able to explore the whole Rachel Summers storyline, we have to jump over to a brand new organization coming together, and that would be WHO, and they stand for Weird Happenings Organization. Now, their main goal is to, well, go around and investigate weird things happening in the world. Now, we are introduced to three members of this organization. First is Dave Thomas, and he was called up by Alessandra Stewart, and I really hope I pronounced her first name correctly. Now, when it comes to Stewart, the reason why she called up Thomas is because a random train had appeared out of nowhere. Now, before we are able to talk more about the train, I kind of want to talk about another member of this organization, and that would be Alistair Stewart. He is the twin to Alessandra Stewart. And you have Alistair tell Day that, hey, listen, this train is not normal. And the reason why? Because it is a Nazi train. And the Nazis lost back in World War II. So why in the world is a Nazi train appearing randomly in our train stations? Now, here's the thing, because when you have the WHO members get on the train, they are confronted by Moira Taggart and also Callisto. But here's the catch. Those two characters, as we know, are usually, side characters in X-Men comics. But for some reason, they're Nazis. And they're kind of wondering why the WHO organization is trying to board their train. And so we're led to believe that this version of Moira and this version of Callisto must have come from another universe, another Earth. Now, when it comes to Chris Claremont, he does not spend that much time when it comes to the Who organization. He wants his main focus to be on, well, the Inferno event. And so we jump back over to Rachel Summers. Now, when it comes to Rachel, when she arrives in New York, she's kind of like, okay, I have to find my brother. But like I said earlier, when it comes to the Excalibur chapters, they take place right in the middle of the New Mutants chapter. And so you have all these different kind of demons just running around. You have different objects coming to life. Now, when it comes to Rachel, she runs into the Goblin Queen. And remember, the Goblin Queen is Madeline Pryor, but Madeline is the clone of Jean Grey. And so for Rachel, she's like, oh my God, it's my mother, not knowing it's not her mother. It's Madeline, who has gone crazy and taking a huge part in the Inferno event. Now, out of nowhere, Rachel is grabbed by a building that had came to life. And that is a huge problem for her, because no matter how powerful Rachel is, she's unable to actually escape from this building that had came to life. And so, matter of fact, you have this building being able to absorb Rachel inside of it. And we're left to wonder what in the world had happened to Rachel. Now, when it comes to the rest of the Excalibur team, they're on their way over to New York because Kitty Pryde knew where Rachel was trying to go to, because again, Rachel was able to build a mind link with her younger brother, Christopher. Now, when it comes to Excalibur, like I said earlier, there's some drama going on at the moment. Let me explain. So when it comes to Captain Britain, he is currently dating Megan. But as we saw in the earlier parts of Excalibur, Captain Britain has been getting back with his ex-girlfriend from his college days, and that would be Courtney Ross. And Nightcrawler knows all about it. And when it comes to Nightcrawler, he's very upset at Captain Britain stepping out on Megan. And so for Nightcrawler, he is trying to move in and replace Captain Britain in Megan's life to be her new boyfriend. And so while you have the team trying to fly over to New York, you have different things happen in a way where now you have Megan using her flying ability to carry Nightcrawler while you have Captain Britain carry Kitty Pryde. And that gives Nightcrawler the chance to spend some quality alone time with Megan, to the point where he's hoping she'll leave Captain Britain for him. But now we have to jump back over to Rachel Summers. Now, when it comes to Rachel, she was able to escape from that building that was trying to absorb her. Except right after being able to escape, well, she's then confronted by an unknown character. And she is hoping that this unknown character would be able to tell her what in the world is happening currently in New York. Except we're left to believe that this character is about to do something big to Rachel. Now, once you have the rest of the Excalibur team arrive, they realize that New York has changed a lot since the last time they were in the city. Of course, talking about the idea of demons being all over the city. But on top of that, the Empire State Building has grown a lot since the last time they were around. And remember, when it came to the Empire State Building, that was a very huge factor when it came to Nastier's plan. Because if he was able to have Madeline sacrifice her son on the new version of the Empire State Building, he would then be able to open up a portal that would allow the demons of Limbo to come into Earth. Now, you have our heroes split up into two groups, and of course, you have Nightcrawler sticking around with Megan. But while you have the two characters being able to get farther into New York, well, out of nowhere, Megan is not acting like herself, to the point where she begins to act like other people who are being affected by Limbo's magic. And she is confronted by Nastier, who turns her into the Goblin Princess. Of course, she cannot be called the Goblin Queen because Madeline is at the moment. But now Megan is on the side of Nastir. Now Nightcrawler realized he has to get the heck out of there because one, Megan is now his enemy, and two, a bunch of demons had arrived. And so he jumps off the Empire State Building. Now, after Nightcrawler had jumped off the building, he did crash on the lower level of New York, except when he looked up, he sees Madeline Pryor, except now she's wearing a wedding dress. But it seems like she was turning into a mannequin, and so she's unable to move. And the question is, what exactly happened to her? But then we jump over to Captain Britain and also Kitty Pryde, who's going out of their way to protect the innocent people who are being attacked by different objects that had came to life. Now, after you have our heroes being able to protect a few innocent people, they are then confronted by the Goblin Princess. Now, when it comes to the Goblin Princess, Megan, is not really her going after Captain Britain because she feels like he no longer loves her. It's really more of she's being controlled by Nastir to go after different people who are close to her. And so there is a nearby movie theater, and out of nowhere you have all these films come out like chains to grab Captain Britain and Kitty Pryde and drag them inside the theater. Instead, once they're inside, they are teleported inside a movie where you have Captain Britain thinking that he is some kind of role where he has to protect the Goblin Princess. And his main enemy in this movie is Kitty Pryde. Now, Kitty Pryde is very confused about what is happening at the moment, but all she now knows is she has to fight against Captain Britain. But now we have to jump into the second chapter where we pick up with a character known as Crotus. Now, when it comes to Crotus, he first appeared in the earlier chapters of X-Men Inferno. Really, he appeared in the chapters for X-Terminators, where he was a demon who was trying his best to please his master. Now, after failing his master, which was Nastir, Nastir let him go. And so when it comes to Crotus, he had just been wandering around New York, wondering what to do with his life. But then he finds Rachel Summers. Now, by this point, Rachel is a mannequin. But when it comes to Crotus, he knows that Rachel possesses the power of the Phoenix. And he wants to use the power of the Phoenix to put himself on even levels with Nastir, as a way to show Nastir that he is not a worthless demon. But now we jump back over to Kitty Pryde and also Captain Britain, who are still stuck inside the movie. Now, when it comes to Kitty Pryde and Captain Britain, you do have the two characters fight against each other, and Kitty Pryde is able to use her phasing ability to dodge most of the attacks. But here comes the problem for Kitty. You see, even though she is able to dodge most of the attacks, there are innocent people who were also pulled inside this movie. And most of the attacks that she is dodging could actually hit the innocent people who are behind her. And so she has no choice but to stop using her phasing ability. Now, when it comes to Kitty, she is a well-trained fighter, and with those skills she was able to take down Captain Britain. But here comes the next problem. The movie changed into a horror film, and now Captain Britain has turned into some kind of creature who is trying to kill off Kitty Pryde, and Kitty Pryde has no choice but to go ahead and run away. But now we have to jump back over to Nightcrawler, and we kind of find out that Nightcrawler is okay after jumping off a taller version of the Empire State Building. Now, once he does get back up, he's actually eaten by a police car. Yes, you heard that right, a police car, because again, when it came to Inferno, you had different objects come to life. And so when it comes to Nightcrawler, like I said, he was eaten by a police car. Now, once inside the car, he realized that there are other innocent people the car had also eaten. But because you have everyone freaking out inside this monster's belly, it actually throws everyone back up. And so you have Nightcrawler wondering, what in the world is going on in New York? And what in the world did he just go through? Now, I want to shift our focus back over to Kitty Pryde and also Captain Britain again, because I really do love the whole idea of this horror film because it brings back a lot of good memories of, sitting down and watching those scary movies. Because when it comes to Kitty Pryde, she's trying her best to run away, but no matter what, Homeboy is just able to get there like it is nothing. Now, you would think, okay, Kitty Pryde should be able to use her phasing ability to dodge, again, most of the attacks that are coming from Captain Britain. But she can't. For some reason, her phasing abilities no longer works. And so she was only barely able to dodge one of his attacks. Now, I do want to say it's kind of cool to see a call out to Freddy Krueger in this one book right here because Homeboy almost looks just like Freddy Krueger. Now, I want to shift our focus back over to Nightcrawler again because Nightcrawler is going through it, guys, because he does find cover in a nearby mall. And matter of fact, on the way there, he is able to save a woman that's being attacked by some mannequins. Yes, you heard that right. Mannequins have now come to life and now attacking innocent people left and right. But things get even crazier because now you have toys also coming to life. Toys from different science fiction movies, TV shows, video games, whatever, they're all coming to life in this mall. And so you now have an actual war between the mannequins and the science fiction toys. It's pretty funny to see because for Nightcrawler, he's wondering what to do here. Like, all you can do is sit there and watch these two sides fight against each other. Now, when it comes to Nightcrawler, things do get a tad bit crazier. You see, he does find another mannequin that looks just like Rachel Summers. But let's not forget, there was another one he saw earlier, and the other one was wearing a wedding dress that is currently with Crotus, who's right now trying to do a ritual that will bind Rachel Summers to his control. Now, when it comes to Nightcrawler, he does take the newer mannequin, but he's now trying to find the other mannequin, but to somehow find a way to free Rachel Summers. Now, once he does find the other mannequin and sees that it's currently being in a ritual with Crotus at the moment, you have Nightcrawler jump in to stop the ritual. But he also grabs the Grimoire that was being used in the ritual. Now, when it comes to Nightcrawler, once he has the Grimoire, he was able to reverse the spell that was done on Rachel Summers, combining the two mannequins together and turning her back to normal. And so now Rachel Summers and Nightcrawler can work together to find the rest of their team. Now, when it comes to Kitty Pryde and also Captain Britain, they're still stuck inside the movie world. But now things are beginning to change once again because now they're in a dancing movie and now they have to dance. Now, when it comes to Captain Britain, he's trying his best to please the woman he supposedly loved at the moment, and that would be Megan, the Goblin Princess, who has control over him. And so he's trying to outdance Kitty Pryde. When it comes to Kitty, though, she's also trying to outdance Captain Britain, but for different reasons. And her reasons more of to just survive. Now, after you have the two characters dance for a while, Captain Britain does lose. And because he lost, he's now a complete slave to the Goblin Princess. Now, the movie does change once again, where now you have the Goblin Princess and Captain Britain inside some kind of castle, where now he is her slave. But now you have Kitty Pryde coming in a knight armor suit as a way to save Captain Britain from the control of the Goblin Princess. Now, as soon as she walks inside the castle, well, the Soul Sword appears. Now, remember, the Soul Sword is a very important item for Magic, who's on the New Mutants. Part of her soul is inside the sword. But when it comes to the Soul Sword, it has the ability to destroy magic around it, as long as you hit those magical things with the sword. And so when it comes to Kitty Pryde, she knows if she's able to use the Soul Sword on the Goblin Princess, but also on Captain Britain, everything should go back to normal. And just like that, it does. She swings at Captain Britain, he's normal again. She swings at Megan, the Goblin Princess, and now she's back as Megan again. And everything goes back to normal for those three characters. And the story really ends on that note right there, where you have the Excalibur team kind of shaken because they went through a lot of different things and they have no idea how to process those different things that had happened to them. But that's really it for Excalibur in Inferno. And really, this is our last Inferno video because now we're going into the aftermath of Inferno and working our way over to the next X-Men crossover. But with that being said, guys, please leave me a like down below and subscribe. Also, if you have any suggestions on books I should read, well, please let me know in the comments below because you never know, your suggestion could be a future video down the road. But guys, see y'all next time. Later.